Yeah.
So what I wanted to do is maybe just give a little intro, which I was hoping would be co-presented with Caitlin, because this was her idea. So she had inspired us. We were doing the Inspiring the Inspired series of things that we do in our ministries to kind of help each other out and then motivate us to take more and more action. And so what she
She's
came
pretty
up,
good at what she, yeah,
yes,
she's pretty good at what she
she's
does.
very good. And
Yeah,
so what
yeah.
she suggested is that because we were talking about self-love a few times, that we inspire a Lovelution for the ministry
Uh,
for this year, for 2026. And so that's kind of what we're going to do here is talk about the Lovelution of the ministry. Oh, here she comes. I'm going to let her do
that's
this.
very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect timing, Caitlin.
Lovelution.
Yes. So where did she go?
I don't know, but that looks pretty good, Lovelution.
Doesn't it? It
Yeah,
feels good. It's our colors. It's like,
yeah, yeah.
did she make it in? Caitlin. Hello.
Don't you see me?
There you are. Yeah, when I have the slides up, I can only see so many people at a time.
Oh, gotcha.
All right. So I wondered
Hello.
if you wanted to introduce this topic since you came up with the idea.
Hmm. Okay. So some friends of mine, Mike and Terry Brown from out here in Arizona, um, they are ministers themselves, and Terry worked for 911 as a dispatcher, and she still was able to maintain this radiant beingness of just pure love and always being about love. And she always espoused that love is the answer and it's the only thing. And she was the walking role model for that. But unfortunately, she got cancer and she passed away a couple of years ago. And with the state of the country being the way that it is, and yesterday being the anniversary of her death, her memory and our friendship came into periphery, and I just had this message that now there is no better time. There's always been a call for a lovelution, meaning we all need to step further into self love so that we manifest love without. But I'm just saying in a long winded way that I want to give credit where credit is due to Terry and her husband, Mike Brown, who were the manifestations of this evolution. And it's not my term, it was theirs about this is what this country needs and this is what we all need is a evolution. So it's basically in a nutshell, recognizing that we will never be a country that goes to war until we are not at war within ourselves. And the war within ourselves looks a lot like our self talk. And that's from last Sunday. The assignment was basically to hold on a second, come over here. Stop it. The homework was basically to be in observer mode and to kind of really get an honest glimpse of our relationship with ourselves. And usually for me, a hallmarker for that is my self-talk. So that's kind of where this came from. But during that, no surprise that after last week's intention for doing this video popped up in my feed. No surprise. And so I drew it to us. And as soon as I watched it, I knew that this was going to be a great launching for us, especially if you get to hear the story, which we're not doing, I believe, today, but between the poems that we're going to see today or hear today and see his story of the severe depression that he fell into after his first poem went viral for millions of views, and people started reaching out to him in pain and asking him for help, like, how do I love myself? I don't know how to love myself, and I want to get out of this abusive relationship, or I'm suicidal. And he couldn't handle it. He was like, I don't know what he goes, I was just inspired to do the poem. I hadn't really gotten that far, and I don't know how to help these people. And he fell into a deep depression. But in that depression, he went into a very long, deep journey into self and different religious modalities and belief systems. And he tried every modality of therapy there is from A to Z. And he just finally found his niche and he found the answers for himself. And he really just, nailed it with that second poem, his comeuppance after all of that journey. So I think that this is also a great segue into the Madonna ministry, looking at the awakening process to help those who maybe don't know how to help themselves get to having get to learn to have a relationship with themselves. So that's where that starts.
All right. So let's open with the poem, and I have to share a special way here so you can hear it. 1 second. We really need better tech wizards on this team. Oops, not that one. Okay. There we go.
Hey.
It's actually happening. Okay, here we go. Let me turn that up.
You are who you've been looking for. So stop looking for more unless you're looking in a mirror, because it's about time for you to see clearly that you are who you've been looking for. And that empty feeling you got, that hole in your chest, you only got that feeling because you think you're not blessed with everything you need. You see, we live in a consumerist society, which means they need you to buy stuff. And the easiest way to sell it is to tell you you're not enough. Buy this car, you'll get girls. Buy this bra, you'll get guys. And we're seeing it so much that we start believing these lies. But the truth is, the makeup they're selling to make you feel prettier is the same makeup you buy to stop feeling shittier about this lie they keep telling you that you are not enough. And what about the movies we watch, all the shows on TV? The more I watch, the more I see I need you to complete me. And yes, love is the answer. Love is the key. But if you can't love yourself, how can you ever love me? And loving yourself, what does that even mean? Like massages and selfies and that sort of thing? Because the more I think about it, the more it feels weird. I've always thought self-love was something to be feared. I've been taught that arrogance is bad and vanity, it's not good. And even my bracelets are telling me to act how Jesus would. So what should I do? How should I act? I'm supposed to love myself, but how do I even do that? Well, I got a trick that I picked up from a friend that noticed that I was quick to defend her when she'd say something negative about herself. She'd say, I'm so dumb, and I'd say, you're so brilliant. She'd say, I'm so weak, and I'd say, you're so resilient. And when she said, I feel ugly, and I said, you look beautiful, she asked me why I was so dutifully filling up her cup constantly and yet treating my own cup so irresponsibly. Because when I looked in the mirror, my voice was quite clear. You're ugly, you're too thin, your hairline's receding, and you got a pimple on your chin. And that was when she gave me a piece of advice that changed my life. She gave me a hug, and she said, treat yourself like someone you love. Treat yourself like someone you love. And now I had been standing, but I needed to be sitting because I couldn't believe that I had been letting myself keep forgetting that I was who I'd been looking for. And deep in my core, I knew it was time to stop looking for more until I could look through all my fear and look into a mirror and see clearly that the man looking back at me is the only one who can make me happy, and I am already enough. And I'm not any more special or unique than you. That's why I'm here to speak to you. You are already enough. And when you start to see that, you will start to be that. Your world will get brighter, your load will get lighter, and you can see that with life, you can be a lover, not a fighter. And that life, you deserve it because you are worth it. And there's no point in letting yourself keep forgetting, because no matter what you say or do, you are perfect. And so today, I hope I leave you with a direction correction away from the flaws you see in your reflection. They aren't flaws to me. They are simply protection against all the doubts you have of your perfection. So start today. Take a good long look in the mirror and say, I am who I've been looking for.
How did that resonate?
Excellent. Excellent.
That was
Yes.
beautiful. That was
Yes.
beautiful.
All
Wow.
right. So let me pull up the slides again. Oops. Sorry for this technical interruption. Not yet. There we go. And we don't need sound on this one. Okay. So we're going to have 4 different discussion prompts as long as we can keep it to, a couple of people sharing each time. What I thought we'd do, just for the sake of time, is if we do go on a tangent, we can just skip one of them. So basically, I was wondering if you guys each wanted to read this and then answer the questions, then anybody else chime in. Anybody want to take on the first one? Read the left, and then we'll answer the question on the right as a group.
I'll do it. The poet had a viral poem that about self-love, but didn't know how to answer people asking, how do I actually do this? Self-love isn't a switch that turns on. It's a result of daily choices. So then we ask ourselves, when you have known something intellectually, but struggled to live it out, when have you known something intellectually, but struggled to live it out? And what helped you bridge that gap?
And a beautiful example of that is in our ceremonies. When we say the words, they mean something. But when we say them with feeling, we're putting our whole self into the ceremony and people get it. It's like the feeling nature is more fluid and it impacts us all. So when we do an act of empowerment, we move from the intellectual and mixed in with the emotional, which is the divine energy flowing through us. It flows through the community that we're in, and it flows through the person that we're consecrating or ordaining. And it's called an act of empowerment because it awakens us to our purpose. It awakens us to that we are enough and that we're encouraging you to be all you can be in your being enough.
That's a good point, because I've noticed too that in the ordinations, even though they go imperfectly, kind of like switching slides, etc., everybody feels it. And so what you're saying is, Charlie, that people are getting it despite the imperfection of the way it's presented, which is exactly our self-talk. It's like, oh my gosh, just, stop, right? And then we take that interpretation and we can finally take it to heart. And I've done some work with the Heart Math Institute with brain heart coherence and just intending when you either pray for somebody or hold space for somebody or self-talk for yourself and have that brain heart coherence and have communication come from here, and bring that feeling back into it. And as somebody who has some sense of cognizance, knowing, there are times when I've known something intellectually, but I struggle to live it out because I can't convey what I know with my words. And so that's kind of the skill that we're trying to touch on here today. Anybody else resonate with this question?
So for me, most of you know, so I won't give the whole story. So the summary is that as a young person, I struggled with severe depression, suicide ideation for several years. And the 12-step program of Codependence Anonymous was a game changer and a lifesaver for me. And the bridge that got me through the intellectually understanding the material and intellectually understanding the steps and understanding intellectually the importance of self-love, the gap is getting there from the intellectual self to the emotional self and having the two of those meet and integrate. So the thing about the 12-step program is they have this thing, fake it till you make it. And that was the bridge for my gap. So I didn't have the healthy self-esteem to enact some of the things that were being asked of me to do, even though intellectually I knew to do them and I knew that they worked for other people. But I don't know, the self-loathing was too strong at that time. So I just got to a place where it was bad enough that I was tired of being sick and tired, as they say, and suffering mentally and emotionally, that I just surrendered that old way of doing things. And even though I didn't trust myself to do the new, I just did it anyway. That was the acting as if component of it. Like I had to visualize what are the characteristics of the type of person I admire that I would want for myself. And the irony of that whole thing is I actually had the characteristics. I just was living small and keeping my light small because I didn't have the confidence. So again, what we know intellectually is all well and good, but until I feel I got to the place of really digging deep into the emotional intelligence component of my beingness, I oftentimes self-sabotaged the self-love.
Yeah. We do that too.
Point.
Anybody else on bridging the gap?
When I was at the University of Colorado, you took a whole battery of tests, and what essentially came out is that if I had more confidence, I'd show up better in intelligence rating or whatever. And you know what? When Bobby converted to Catholicism, and she had to be educated in their ways for us to be married. But what she insisted on, she told the Jesuit priest, I don't believe in original sin. And that was a big practice of the church. And he said, well, it's a matter of conscience. And so when you boil it all down to, if you get into the consciousness of the creator, so to speak, then the illusion of separation, the illusion of not being enough dissipates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think acceptance, a different podcast, but in a similar conversation. We just had a meeting yesterday with another group that does mediumship and all kinds of self becoming one, basically becoming one with all that is. And they were talking about having that acceptance of the experience you've gone through, whether it was the self-talk, whether it was suicidal thoughts, whether it was, not being enough to show up in a confident way. If you come to acceptance that that's the experience you went through, it's easier to just let that go and then carry on with what your new choice is, which is, oh, now I feel good today. And I have a room full of people who absolutely adore me. And I'm just going to feel good about that and be thankful. And I don't worry about what happened before anymore, or at least for today. So it's that acceptance as closure was a good point. Shall we move on? Or Laura, go ahead.
Yeah, and I ditto everything that Caitlin said, but I learned it in Al-Anon,
Yeah.
another 12-step program, but the steps are all the same. And when I joined Al-Anon, I thought I was a failure at relationships and my life sucked. And I discovered there that it wasn't my fault. And I love that fake it till you make it. I had to do that for a long time. And and I was codependent, and I learned a lot in Al-Anon, and I learned that I had choices.
Yeah.
And I was making the wrong choices for me. And once I understood that, it was so much easier to love myself. And through a lot of therapy too. One of the hardest things I ever had to do was look myself in the eye in the mirror and say, I love you. But the more you do it, the more you feel it.
Yeah. Very good point.
I think that was kind of and thank you for saying that, because that was the point that I was making, was that the acting as if is crucial to getting to the place of eventually I started to believe through the acts that I was worthy, and the
Yeah.
self-love starts to build on those acts of loving kindness.
And when you're acting that out, that energy, that vibration, that frequency, whatever you want to call it, attracts more of the same.
Right.
So you tend to surround yourself with more positivity and people that actually believe you.
I wonder how similar that is to when you're driving a car and it goes out of control, you look to where you want to go.
Yeah.
And that's what acting till you make it is. It's the same sort of thing, you emotionally look to where you want to reach, where you want to attain.
Yeah, they use Wayne Gretzky. You skate where the puck is going to be rather than think about how to hit the puck to get it to go where you want it to be.
Mm.
It's also in business speak. You talk with you plan for the end in mind. What's your end goal, and then backtrack to find those steps to get to it. Those are two
Power
big.
of the imagination is so great, more greater than we probably realize.
Yeah,
When I play tennis, I have to imagine where my shot's going. I don't have to look where it's going. I imagine where it's going.
right.
And another car analogy is the reason that the rear view mirror is this big is because you're looking back. Your windshield is huge because you're looking forward.
That's a good point. I like that. Nice.
This is Shirley. When I moved to where I'm living now, it was like, oh my gosh, I've lost everything because I didn't have a class. I didn't have uh, the only one that I did know outside of there at that time was Laura.
Yeah.
And then my buddy, who's still here in my life. So I didn't go around trying to tell everybody this is what I did or whatever. I just became it. And I would be with people. And if they were talking about something that was hard for them or difficult for them to say anything, because here we are in a place where all of us have come, but we didn't know anybody here before.
Yeah.
So, but I went back, and Caitlin said something to me the other day about when I started. You know what? I'm losing my part of me with names and words and stuff like that. So, Caitlin, what you said the other day about the class, would you please? And I'm sorry, everyone. It's just
No, you're fine. But I think the more important thing, Shirley, was you shared with me, and you apologized about your struggle with memory. And what I said to you, and I'm going to say this again, and now it's being recorded so you can go back and see it. What I said to you is that the essence of who you are will never be lost.
mhm.
Yeah.
And to stay in the essence of who you are on a daily basis, in the here and the now, and you don't have to be concerned about what you did in the past and the achievements and holding on to those memories, because who you are is still the same today as you were when you created the awakening process years ago. And that's what I was saying to you, is that the essence of who you are, regardless of where your mind is just showing you to still share who you are today, because the essence has not changed. And so the awakening process was a manifestation. I think it probably one of your peak periods of time of manifesting your life experience to show people that they are safe when you created the awakening process, and that they are enough, and then that they are loved ultimately, right? So those were the steps, the first ones. And each one of those led into, it was very perfectly and divinely led, that each one of those steps led to the ultimate class, which was you are enough and you are loved.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for remembering it.
We
had
love
a
you,
wonderful
Shirley.
time. And I do, I have talks with some of the people here now. All of a sudden, they'll come over and just, boy, the other day, this and that. And it just opens up a little bit of a door. But boy, do I love that door when it's open.
And I will
thank
share
you.
that
Thank you,
when
Caitlin.
Yeah.
And Paula, you too. You coming
Well,
over and everything like that it just keeps me going.
but you still do what you do. Whenever we take you out, there is not a moment you're not listening, looking to others, and you always give somebody the most beautiful message, no matter where we are, if we're in a bar, if we're in a restaurant, if we're at the zoo, you always share who you really are. So you are not lost. You're still there. And people look amazed when you give them their messages. So screw the memory, just be who you are.
That essence lives beyond.
It
Yeah.
does.
Thank you.
It's also beautiful that you share the truth of what's happening to you now.
Mhm.
It's just, it's experiential. We're witnessing our life as a human being, and you're a witness, and you're honest about it. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right. Shall we move on?
That's a perfect example of self-love.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we're talking about today. A lot of self-love comes from the love of other people around us. When we don't feel like anyone loves us around us, we can't love ourselves. But when we know people around us love us, that gives us more empowerment to feel the love and know that you can love yourself, because so many people are backing you up.
Well, that's a perfect segue to this particular question. If you don't mind reading the left-hand side, we'll answer the question about what we do to have a relationship with ourself first. And this is what Adam Roa struggled with in the poem. He said what he didn't understand was how to do it for him. He was doing it for his friend, and his friend was recommending that he do it for himself, but he had no idea how. So that, if you'd like to read this, Kevin.
Okay. Self-love as a relationship. We need to treat our relationship with ourselves like any other relationship. The 5 love languages, framework, quality of time, words of affirmation, acts of service, physical touch, gifts, applies inwardly. And the discussion prompt is, how often are we sitting together with ourselves but scrolling on our phones? What would quality time with yourself actually look like?
I'd like to answer that one. I'm not scrolling on my phone, but I'm scrolling in my brain. What am I going to do? What's going to happen next? Where do I have to go? Who do I have to help? Who's going to be sick next? Am I going to have time to myself? Quality time with me right now, getting back to my home, would look like sitting down with a paintbrush in my hand and a canvas in front of me and creating something.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's beautiful or ugly, just creating something to let me out again, to show me that I still can create, that I am not just a caregiver, that I don't define myself as taking care of the world, which I do. But taking time to just be with me and that paintbrush and that canvas, that's quality for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't had that in more than 6 months. So thank you for this question.
Yes, timely.
I
timely.
needed to hear myself say that.
And Charlie's doing it too with his clay.
Yeah.
I just completed. I love the creative process, and it's a meditative process, and it's the process that counts. The outcome's okay, whatever it is, but it's the process of doing it. And I just made, this summer, my son took me out on a lake and where he fishes, and he calls in a bald eagle, and the bald eagle gets the fish that he catches, and they've got a relationship. I love that relationship with nature. You don't have to tell a bald eagle what to do; they just do it, right? But they do have a relationship with life, and so my son's connected with that. So I made him a bald eagle, and I put it on a branch, and then I put a fish that the bald eagle has started eating on the branch. So it'll be a memory for him of the connection with nature. And it was fun for me to develop, and it was very creative because I don't know anyone that's done what I've done before, and it's experimental. And it may not have come out. It may have fallen all apart, but this time it worked. Love it. Thank you, Paula.
So one of the things that came up for me, I don't know if anybody else caught this, was we need to treat our relationship with ourselves like any other relationship. And what struck me initially was how many people are involved in dysfunctional relationships. So I wasn't very comfortable with the statement, we need to treat our relationship with ourselves like others, because so many people are having dysfunctional relationships with others, as a manifestation of the lack of healthy relationship within. So he did actually address this later on in the video, but I just wanted to let people know that in actively listening, it was something that kind of struck me as off initially, but he did address it later in case it struck somebody else. Because I am a firm believer, I know some people are offended by this statement. My belief is that people truly, and that's the key word, truly cannot love another human being fully unless they're loving themselves. And when we are loving other people, even though we don't love ourselves, that's much more of codependent or a love addicted relationship, needing gratification from without to fill the emptiness within. And feel free to disagree with that. But I think that the statement, we need to be careful with our understanding of that statement, that we don't still give away our self-love for others to fill the void that's within when we hear that statement.
So I agree with that 100%. Like, I can't nod my head enough. So I've always said, and this is the advice that I give to like other people, and it's based off what I've learned from myself. Like, you should always be your first love. Like, we were always our first love until people make you feel lesser than, about yourself. But your relationship with yourself is the thing that teaches people how to treat you, right? If you don't value yourself and love yourself, how do you expect someone else to value you or love you, right? You don't find it without if you don't have it within. Right. And that's always, I don't care if it's a personal relationship, a friendship, a business relationship, whatever it is, people go off of how you treat yourself. And so giving ourselves that self-love is so necessary. I don't I when someone else mentioned like how animals act, like the eagle is an eagle and acts like an eagle because that's what it is, right? If we do what we love, what comes natural to us, all the time without thinking about what other people think, it's amazing, right? We're happier. We're just doing what we naturally do. And it's just an act of love, of self-love, when we do that without regard to what other people think. So that's my take on it.
We love that.
I agree with Caitlin too so much, but I didn't always agree with that. Just full disclosure, in the beginning of my journey, although I talked to friends my entire life, from programming or training or whatever it is, and what we get shown as an example or taught as how to be when we're young, that's almost egotistical. How dare you do that? And I felt in my body, it didn't make sense to me because I could feel in my body that I could pour so much love into another person. Isn't it gross to love myself? And I thought all that idea of you have to love yourself before you can love somebody else truly made no sense whatsoever. Now it does. Now that I have gone through and worked and still working tirelessly on accepting self-love for myself, I see how I show up in a relationship differently, right? I set healthy boundaries and probably don't lose my temper because I maintain my boundaries with, no, this isn't okay with me. And that's all there is to it. I'm, not going to overextend myself for your love, like, and appreciation. I'm not going to overburn myself out because I honor time for self. I just wanted to add that little tidbit.
I love that. I love that transition too, where you've been and where you got to be. It's inspiring.
And I think too that, the caveat for this whole discussion, ultimately, the reason we meet on Sundays is to strengthen our individual ministries.
Yeah.
And I think that this is an honest place to start, is what does my relationship with myself look like? And for those of you who are beloved elders who have been doing this for years, I don't think, I would imagine that our journey is for always evolving. And like Shirley, I think you're in a position today with your transition with memory, is really delving deep into just being present to you today and staying in self-love and trusting the nature of who you are and letting go of the attachment to the memories. And I just want to say, I'm sure that's much easier said than done, but that's the message that comes up for me, for you.
Beautifully put. Thank you.
And may I say that one of the things that I look back on, I've been married twice. I've had a couple of live-in relationships, and I look back and I see myself being whoever that person wanted me to be. I was like a chameleon. Whoever you wanted me to be, that's who I tried to be. And I wasn't true to myself. And I've been alone now for over 20 years. And you know what? I like it. I love that I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, with whoever I want, because that's who I am now, today. And I didn't learn anything about a loving relationship when I was a child, because my family, my father was an alcoholic, my mother was a great enabler. And so that's who I thought I was supposed to always be in a relationship.
Yeah.
And now I know that was so totally wrong. And I'm so glad that I found the Rooms of Al-Anon, that I went to therapy, and that I discovered who I really was. And now I can be who I am.
And we love who you are.
Well, thank you.
And when people ask
that,
me, I'm sorry,
go ahead.
when people ask me about my relationship with my husband, because everybody envies our marriage, I say, quite frankly, if I hadn't learned to love me, I never would have been able to love him.
Yeah.
And I love him with all my heart, but I come first.
Oh,
I'm going to share. It was my birthday and Christmas. What my children gave me.
Let's see if I can.
All of them
A
together.
collage.
Oh,
that's
wow.
beautiful.
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 Oh, wow.
I only cried for 3 days.
Only 3?
It's every one of them. So before I go to bed at night, I kiss them all good night.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Know that they're my they're my friends still.
And they're all looking down on you and wishing you the
Yes,
best.
I have to find them. Yes, I was waiting for Paula to get over to surprise her to show her,
Oh,
but
nice.
we didn't have that this week. But that's okay. Here you saw it today.
I'll see it closer on Wednesday.
And it's so wonderful that when I look at them, there's always a memory.
Yeah.
And then I'm sharing their memory with them at this. And this was beautiful.
That's a great
So
idea.
thank you.
Wow.
Yay.
Yeah.
We'll have to get a picture and put that in the newsletter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was my son that thought of it. It's one of my sons. So that was really beautiful.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So what's the next one? Good.
Yeah.
You want to take this one, Charlie?
Okay, the universal next step, small and scary. Sometimes the next step is huge, leaving toxic relationships or starting therapy. Often it's small, but equally important, writing a poem, watching the TED Talks your friend sent. Discussion point. What small steps might you be avoiding right now when scary steps keep calling to you? Small steps. What small steps might be avoiding right now? Scary steps he was calling to you. I'm kind of at a loss with that right now. I have to sit with it.
Yeah, I can
kind
think of things for each
interpret-
of you, but I haven't thought of anything for myself. Go
That's
ahead,
it.
Kevin.
I kind of look at it and say, you know, why are we willing to adopt the scary stuff and not deal with the small stuff? Is how I read that statement. You know, I know with myself, it's easier for me to go off on a mental tangent than to actually deal with the issue. That part of that's cancer and part of it's lunacy. But I'll deal with the little stuff that don't mean diddly squat in what the results are that I am after. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Well, I think the mental tangents are exactly what we were talking about before, the self-talk and the I have to respond in this way because that's what I'm accustomed to as opposed to what I choose to do, which is set that boundary and work beyond that old-fashioned relationship where I'm reactive emotionally.
So what comes up for me is what small step might you be avoiding right now would be how I interpret that for myself is what self-care am I avoiding?
Yeah.
And that then when I'm avoiding it, then I question why am I avoiding it? What is the message in there for me as to why I'm avoiding myself? Why am I still not choosing me first? Why does everybody else and people, places, and things come first and responsibilities? The human doing over the human being. Why do I choose the human doing over the human being more times than not? So I know for a lot of people in my life, it comes down to oftentimes I'm privy to their conversations about, well, it's the new year and I need to go on a diet or I need to eat better and I know I need to exercise and I know I should and I know I should and I know I should. And of course, I always say don't should all over yourself, but come up with a plan. But the reality is, if I say I should do something, is it really something I want to be doing, or is it something that I feel that the culture or society is telling me that should be doing. If I'm not called to do it, maybe that's the reason why I don't do it. I don't know. Or the opposite is true, that if I should be doing something and I know I should, then I'm self-sabotaging on some level, keeping still operating from the smaller version of myself instead of the expansive, glorious version of myself that I know to be true. As a child of God, we all have that. We're all big, glorious, deserving children of this universe.
Caitlin, I've always known you from the moment I first met you that you were going to talk and share. And you would put your arms out, and all that energy would sow into the room. That's why you were the one always that when we were doing the classes, you would take them and you would share with them. And you gave them the gift of themselves. That is something you will always, always, and I will always remember from you, is you gave and helped them to understand that they were okay. So thank you. Keep it up.
Beautiful. Anybody else on scary steps?
I'm interpreting it a little differently, maybe. What small step might you be avoiding? I'm avoiding not being authentic. And by that, I mean each of us have our own authenticity. Each of us have our own fingerprints. Each of us have our own nature and the way we individualize it. So I'm avoiding not being authentic. And what do I mean by that? I have, as you know, probably a domestic helper called Dolly, and we have an excellent relationship. And I call her slave, and she calls me master. And we laugh our heads at that. Now, people might be inflamed by that because they're locked in a different picture. They don't see the humor in it. And it's not my problem. It's theirs, because I'm expressing the genuineness of my authenticity, and there's no harm in what I'm saying. There's only lightheartedness. And so, yes, my job is to avoid not being authentic, no matter what others think. What scary steps keep calling to you? My grandson asked yesterday, he said, oh, we were saying, for the New Year's, I don't make a resolution, I make an aspiration. And I think, oh, that's pretty cool. Then he asked me, what about you? And I said, well, my aspiration is that I don't expire soon.
Charlie, you're a piece of work.
That's for
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, because I think it's important to really take on those boundaries that we talked about earlier. Because, like you say, Charlie, I mean, I know you and I know your heart, and you and Dolly have a fantastic relationship. So, yes, you can talk to each other that way. But somebody else might be under a narcissist's care. Somebody else might be in an abusive relationship, and those words are inflammatory, like you said. But that's not for you to wear, right? That's for us to say, oh, that offends me. Or for us to say, I'm putting my bubble out and that's not going to let me go down the path of being offended, right? So I
Yeah,
think
so they're being authentic with their replies and remarks.
yes,
But
yeah,
also gives them the opportunity to look at that. Now, I've said it mostly in front of my family, and they pretty much all know me. And
yeah,
oh, that's Charlie, And it is me being authentic. And you're right. But when the hurts come up, there's an opportunity to look at them, if people want to.
Well, and that's what's so beautiful about the ministry is it's a safe place to
Yeah.
entertain that conversation without the I'm going to quit because I heard something I can't live with, versus let's talk it through and have clean communication so that the end of that conversation allows us to accept what's been said and we move on with our own boundaries and our own way of taking that in. We don't
Right.
have to carry a grudge. We don't have to be offended. And you know as well as anybody, this ministry's had its ups and downs with dramatic inputs and outputs.
Yeah, people get wounded easily, but that's an opportunity to
Move through. Yeah.
Move through it if you're willing to.
Right. Right.
And yeah, well, most of the people coming into our ministry are wounded, right? We're all wounded in some way. We're all working to the ascension process, or what we're calling the awakening process, to awaken to that love that has no boundaries.
And it's a process.
Yeah, it's a process.
Definitely.
So maybe I kicked some people into the process.
Instigator.
Instigator.
All right. I think this is our last one. Anybody want to step in? Laura, go ahead.
Gratitude and feeling it all. Learning to love life means not turning away from pain. Gratitude for simple things, breath, ability to walk, smell, taste, unlocks abundance. Heaven is here today when we can feel it all and still love life. Discussion prompt. How might embracing all our feelings, not just the positive ones, be an act of love? And how does gratitude shift what we see? Well, I'd like to answer that second one. And that's something, again, that I learned in program, is always trying to have an attitude of gratitude. Mm-hmm. And I say the Reiki prayer every day, and there's five lines to it, and one of them is, I will be grateful. And I tell people that all the time who are hurting, you've got to think of what you're grateful for instead of what you're sad about. So gratitude is an attitude of gratitude is very important.
Yeah.
I have a kind of a conundrum about this one. So, yes, gratitude is important, and it has saved me at many points in my life, just focusing on the present moment and being grateful for everything I have instead of everything crumbling away from me in my life, right? It just pulls you into that center so you can breathe and get through the next moment. But there is an important part of feeling those feelings. And I feel like some people take that over gratitude, and I'm not saying not be gracious by any means, and don't allow themselves to feel the feelings in the moment. And it kind of causes a hole or festers or creates a wound or soft spot in us. And so it's kind of an oxymoron between these two questions to me, because maybe just allowing yourself to say with self-love, it's okay to be sad right now. It's okay that you feel like this freaking sucks right now. And this might be the hardest moment in your life. And it's okay to take a moment and curl up in a ball and cry or punch the pillow or whatever and let those feelings go. But don't forget to look around and say, yes, I have everything I need, but this freaking sucks.
Yeah.
Thankful that I'm breathing right now, but this hurts so bad.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's a brilliant thing to bring up.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the way I look at that is you don't necessarily embrace your feelings, you observe them. You become the observer of your life, and that you allow the feelings to move through you. And that's a holy instant.
Mm-hmm.
And when when you become the observer, then you're not at effect of your feelings.
Yeah.
You're the observer of your feelings. And so it helps us move through our depressions, our sadness, or whatever is going on, and with our anger. It goes through us, and we don't embrace it. We don't hold on to it. but we acknowledge it.
Mhm.
Yeah, Charlie, you just described emotional intelligence, which is what we're not raised with, and most of us are not educated in. And then, Melody, you interpret it, and then you answered it the way that I had interpreted it. So you interpreted it differently, but you answered it the way that I interpreted it. So, which I got a kick out of. So, because I didn't see the polarity in it, I went right to where you went with it, that we need to embrace the feelings, not wallow in them, of course, but we have to acknowledge them and feel them. And then, like Charlie said, the process then goes to the releasing of them. The problem with depression is that people stay stuck in the emotions and lose the sense of gratitude. So I think you both eloquently posited the statement perfectly.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting because in the video too, and if you look at the left on the second bullet, what he went through were scenarios where if you're feeling bad about where you are, that you should imagine that there's always someone there that would gladly take your place because they've got it worse. And this is maybe a different inflection or a different place to enter the conversation. But it makes sense. If somebody doesn't have a sense of smell, maybe something else is enhanced. Or if somebody can't walk and you want to walk away from a relationship, maybe you really need to reframe that and say, oh, wait, I can walk and I should celebrate that, because some people can't. And so he made some really interesting points. So I encourage you all to listen to that video all the way through.
We've had
Where
a
did
great
Paul go?
session.
Yeah.
Where did Paul
Wonderful
go?
session.
I meant to say that when I was talking about when I first came here, if she hadn't come, she was coming almost every Thursday to visit. She says to visit me.
Yeah.
But it gave me enough to let myself be. Just that one Thursday, one Tuesday or Thursday when she used to come. I don't see her here right here again, but I want to say that.
I'm
Thank
here.
you.
Yep.
And
You're welcome.
all of us help one another. I could look at each one of you as I'm looking here, and each one of you I've talked to and I've had times with and everything. And you know what? We're all in the same path and we're all doing okay. So keep on going in that path because that's where God put us. And might as well stay where he put us. He's pretty neat. But I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
We love you.
I love you too.
So we have a choice. We can either go through the poem itself for the next 5 minutes, or I can just show you the slide. If you have to leave, that's okay. And I'll play the poem for the recording so you can come back and listen later. Does that look okay to you?
Yeah.
Let me share the last slide. Oops, I have to find it again. Sorry. Okay. Almost there. Almost there.
Wait for it.
Wait for it. Here we go. There it is. So this poem, Heaven, is what came after he went through his process. I don't remember if it was a year or two or whatever it was, but
He said it was several years.
Okay. So he was inspired to write this poem after the opening poem where it went viral and everybody said, oh my God, you have the answer. And he realized he didn't. He went and found the answer. And so this is what came of it. So the most impactful thing you can do for the world is to learn how to love life, all of life. Allow yourself to feel your way through all the hurt and all the rage. That's how we heal. And it might hurt like hell, but you'll have shown us we'll be okay to feel it all and still love life. That's heaven. And so I can go into the recording unless anybody has any parting words.
Thank you.
Yeah. This was a good one. Thank you, Caitlin, for finding it for us.
We've all been in some type of journey or others.
Yeah.
And as we speak, we're like weaving it into a
Yeah.
oneness that we can all share with each other.
Beautiful. I love that.
I learned how to love myself. And just like the poem said would happen, my world got brighter and my load got lighter. And that is something worth writing poetry about. And so I'd like to close today with one more poem. It's a poem that I call Heaven. Can I have everyone take a nice deep inhale and exhale? The most impactful thing you can do for the world is learn how to love life. All of life. Show people that being happy doesn't mean turning a blind eye to the pain and the sadness and the suffering that happens here. Show them that choosing love doesn't mean ignoring fear. It just means being willing to feel. And those brave souls will always heal as long as they maintain the courage to feel. Because the fear of feeling's really at the root of every fear, which creates the fear of living because feeling's why we're here. So you can fight the fact that feelings past have felt so freaking hard, but it's the very fact you have felt all that that feels like the part we should celebrate. Investigate. Learn to navigate with ease. Your emotions are the gift God gives you every time you breathe. Energy in motion with the strength to bring a king down to his knees, and yet contained within the emotion is the key to set you free. Yes, contained within emotion is the gift of what being human is, a chance to feel all of life from deep sorrow to deep bliss. And you might wish the two would split, but the twist is that they'll always coexist because even the heartbreak you hate today had the way paved by a lover's kiss. So you can write your list of how life's a bitch, but don't forget the asterisk, because for all the times you went through shit, it fertilized a lot of gifts. But when you only focus on what you lack, you can't appreciate what you've got. But with gratitude for what you have, you can see that it's a lot. And that is the difference between abundance and scarcity. It's not about what you have, it's about what you see. So the next time you forget how blessed you be, take a moment and focus on the next breath you breathe. The next time you forget how blessed you be, take a moment and focus on the next breath you breathe. And notice, you're right here with me. A miracle, a great mystery. Out of hundreds of trillions of stars and hundreds of billions of galaxies, somehow, some way, you're here today with me, and we all breathe on a spinning sphere of chemicals, spiraling through the universe. You were once one of 200 million sperm. You just happened to get there first. So how could you ever say you're cursed? You've been blessed since before your birth, and you might not think you have it best, but it could definitely be worse. And if you don't believe that yet, go tell the deaf what you just heard. If you don't like what you see, go tell the blind how much it hurts. On your hardest day, when you really want to walk away, go tell the paraplegic how it's unfair. Share how you want to run from all your problems while he's pushed everywhere in a chair. And I'm not saying that life is fair or that it's easy. We all go through a lot. But as you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, don't lose gratitude for the fact that you walk. Celebrate the fact that you can dance and sing. Embrace the abundance in the very act when you talk. Because when you can spot abundance in the simplest things, that's when more abundance unlocks. The simplest things. Taste and touch and breath and smell. Did you know there are people with something called anosmia, which means their sense of smell is completely lost. So while they literally can't smell the roses, do you want to complain you don't have the time to stop? Because this life is the only one that you've got. And there are people who would trade places with you without a second thought. So no matter how many tears, heartbreaks, or bad days you pay, the cemetery is full of souls that know living is worth the cost. Don't wait till it's too late to learn that lesson. Living is worth the cost. But make no mistake, being alive is not the same thing as living. Just like throwing something away is not the same thing as giving. So if you haven't yet found your love of life, I suggest you keep on digging and allow yourself to feel your way through all the hurt and all the rage. And as you feel, allow yourself to finally turn the page. That's how we heal. And it might hurt like hell, but you'll have shown us we'll be okay to feel it all and still love life. That's heaven. And you'll have helped pave the way. That's heaven. Can you feel it? Heaven is here today.
Good job.
Wow.
That's beautiful. My
Yeah.
God.
Amazing.
Thank
Heaven
you.
is here today. Perfect.
Beautiful.
So thank you all. Thank you, Caitlin, for bringing that to our attention. And I think this is a good one. This is a recording that should be
Very
shared.
good. Thank you.
Finally.
I'll be putting it up on YouTube.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
And so
Thank you.
we've chosen
Let's-
a proposed board meeting, January 18th, right after this service. So January 18th, everybody's welcome to come. The voting members will be helping reassign some roles for 2026, and we'll be transitioning to some new leadership, interim co-presidents, while Paula takes her sabbatical and practices self-love.
Let's start
Finally,
that.
huh?
Let's start that Lovelution, people. It's the only thing that's going to save us.
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
And for God's sakes, get it right.
Yep. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Thank you.
Love
Have a
you
blessed
all.
week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.